second part, I was thinking maybe you would want to see the equilibrium conditions here, disequilibrium conditions. Just as a reminder, what's going on? We had a shock in our three equation system. Epsilon PC went up. We said that that was some type of natural disaster. We talked about the impact of that upon the interest rate through the monetary policy rule. Fed raises rates. We talked about the impact of those rates on economic activity through the IS curve. Borrowing is curtailed, and so output is declining. And we had the visualization that got you almost all the way there. If you want to start thinking about disequilibrium, keep in mind there's multiple ways in which you could represent the disequilibrium. You don't always have to, but you can see that. So what happens here, the black lines were the original, the red line was after the shock. I'll use blue, hopefully you can distinguish. At the moment of the shock, oh, we kick up. Now, what I'm saying is, at the moment of that hurricane, flood, natural disaster, whatever it is, before economic activity has had a chance to adjust, prices are skyrocketing. Now, the question is whether or not this actually is happening or that's the compulsion. This equilibrium could be represented and cast in either way. So let's think of it for now as, let's say that happens, just to tell that story. All right, so that means that inflation's actually going up a lot. Well, if inflation's going up a lot, then that means you're moving even further along that monetary policy curve, right? And so that means interest rates are even higher than before. The Fed is really reactive to that shock, and then interest rates are even higher than before. So economic activity, is curtailing even more, right? So the shock hits, and everyone's reacting. Not only are people getting charged more, but the Fed is reacting more, so people are buying a lot less. And if you want to see this as our actual economic activity, you can connect these two right here. The problem is you're not at an equilibrium there. Think about at that level of inflation. Supply is all the way out here. Demand is over there. You're at supply greater than demand. You know from every Econ 101 bone in your body, that's not going to last, right? There's going to be a way in which this thing has to resolve, stop moving. And since you're not at an equilibrium there, remember how these things work? You're kind of moving down, supply and demand dancing together until you get to that resting point. Well, how did I slide along the curve? Well, if supply is greater than demand, the businesses, profit-seeking entities, are going to start cutting back on the prices so they can actually sell some of this product. All right. Well, inflation's moving. That's on the vertical axis, which means it's endogenous. That's what allows you to slide along these curves. Well, as inflation is coming out of the system, rates are coming out of the system, which means that output is recovering a little bit. Now, how much? Well, right back to where we were with the red lines. That was part one of the video. Right back to where we were in the red lines. So you can represent these points of disequilibrium in multiple ways. This is one way to think about it. Key thing, no different than what you trained on in Econ 101. Just because it's macro doesn't mean supply and demand fundamentals are different. Hope that helps.